Warning! The root's on fire! You're about to experience the most high-octane, pedal-to-the-metal controversial show of your life. Please buckle up and hold on tightly. This station is not responsible for injuries. This is Wayne Allyn Root, raw and unfiltered, with America's favorite conservative rock star. Direct from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. What time is it? It's time for war! Here's your host, 100% raw truth, 100% American made, the warrior, Wayne Allyn Root.
Man, new music, new intro, ladies and gentlemen, but no Wayne Allyn Root. Wayne is off today and tomorrow. I'll be back a couple days next week and then off again. My name is Lee Elsey. I am the voice of freedom. I am officially filling in for Wayne Allyn Root. I'm the official fill-in guy, man. It's been about 8, 9, maybe even 10 years. I'm not sure I can count that high. But we are back, and I have so much to talk about. And as we go today, you can watch us on thegatewaypundit.com, Wayne's Rumble, Wayne's X, Getter, Root for America, of course, YouTube, all these different platforms. You can find Wayne's show. And today, today's a serious day. I've got a lot to get to. And it's important stuff, and I hope you can stay with me the entire show, because we're going to navigate through some stuff that I think is very perilous. We're in a dangerous time, the most dangerous, maybe, and dishonest alliance of our time is happening in real time in front of our eyes. The radical left and radical Islam are joining forces. These two forces should be at war with each other. One claims to fight for feminism, LGBTQ rights, secularism, equality. The other is essentially built on a medieval mindset, total submission of the women, the execution of homosexuals, the absolute control over every thought, every action that you have. And these two now are partnered up. Yeah. They've formed this perfect symbiotic partnership whose only shared goal is the absolute destruction of Western civilization from within. We witnessed it yesterday in spades in New York City. The left treats Islam as a weapon. It's their favorite tool for smashing Western values. That's what they do. Erasing national identity and imposing their own social order. Come on. They can't possibly love Islam. No. They don't even respect it. They simply need its victim narrative and its aggressive hostility towards Christians, Christianity in general, and the West. That's what they're using. The Democrats are playing this card, but it's a dangerous card to play. The left, they spent decades teaching that all of us in the West are uniquely evil. You know, Islam arrives on the scene already believing the West is the enemy, and the match is perfect. Leftists despise Christianity because it teaches personal responsibility, traditional morality, and limits state power. Right? They need a battering ram to break those pillars down. Islam supplies that battering ram. And at the same time, the left imports millions of Muslims from countries who will reliably vote for bigger government, more welfare, and more hostility. Look what's going on. There are pockets in this country right now that are flipping. And when I mean flipping, I mean look at Dearborn, Michigan. Look at Michigan in general. Look at New York City. They're becoming much more Muslim. And more people are coming in. And the patriotic assimilation is not happening. And patriotic assimilation resists socialism. So if you are coming here and you love the American values, you're going to resist socialism. But they've embraced it. Unassimilated masses from failed theocracies, they want socialism. They welcome it. They love it. It's much easier for them to get a little piece from the government to go out and get it themselves. That's what they do. And the more social breakdown, the easier it is for the left to offer and sell up these bogus solutions. Look at the results. Look what Sweden has gone through. They went from one of the safest countries on earth to a place with grenade attacks, gang shootings, entire neighborhoods in a police state, or police have to hesitate even to enter some of those places. France has a complete breakdown, lost complete control. Britain, which I'm going to talk about in the next break, England is an embarrassment. It has endured years of Pakistani grooming gangs raping thousands of girls, while the police sit there with their hands in their pockets because they're afraid. They have to stay silent because they don't want to upset the apple cart of what is supposedly this multiculturalness, and they don't want to be accused of being racist. And there are, by the way, predictable outcomes of the left-wing policies and the demographic replacement over security and assimilation. The left is using Islam as a censorship weapon and honesty discussion of jihad doctrine, right? Sharia law, honor violence. They are instantly branded as hate speech. Like if I was speaking about this and I was living in Britain, they'd throw me in jail. Fact. I would be in jail. They'd be in handcuffs right now on my way because you're not supposed to talk about that. You're not supposed to talk about the fact that it's a violent culture filled with hate. You're not supposed to say anything like that. That's not allowed. And Islam is not a helpless victim. They actively are using the left. See, the Islam is actually even smarter than the socialists. The socialists don't see it yet, but they are. The Islamic, and they're more dangerous, by the way. The Islamic strategists, they understand they don't need to conquer the West by using armies. No. Why would you need to do that? Just outbreed everybody. They need to infiltrate the institutions while the left literally opens the gates. More and more socialist Muslim people are being elected to office. And it's a non-compatible environment for those of us who have lived here our entire lives. They don't see the things that we see. They don't want to live the way we live. They want a complete flip-flop of our culture. And with left-wing support, as I said, they enter politics, media, universities, even the police forces. And they push for more and more immigration, more accommodation of Sharia, more suspension of criticism. Can't critique them. You can't critique this. The slow elimination of free speech. And guys, once the numbers hit a critical mass, it's game over. Don't you understand that? The domination begins. The assimilation completely stops. London, again, already has Sharia councils. Think about that. Issuing rulings that absolutely contradict British law. Parts of Paris are parallel societies where Islamic norms override Western ones. This is not some kind of made up. I'm not making this stuff up. It's happening. It has happened. And when we watch an election take place where Mandami surrogates all shock the world, if you will, and get elected. I mean, there's got to be a first step taken. Mandami was the first step, or actually Dearborn was the first step. Mandami is the big step, and he's an absolute rising star in that party. He's probably one of the 3 or 4 most influential Democrats right now in the United States. And what's going on is not multiculturalism. It's a It's a complete conquest by migration and by birth rate. Islamic activists have mastered the art of righting leftist causes. And the strategy is simple. They use the left to gain power, open borders, then discard them as useful idiots once the demographics flip and the balance shifts. And history shows exactly how that ends. It just does. The Iranian communists and leftists helped the Ayatollah Khomeini overthrow the Shah. And what do you got? 50 years of oppressive rule. See, the left was purged back then, but the theocracy remained. And that's the pattern. They slow creep, take over, throw out the left, and insert your own ideologies. And every time a non-Islamic or non-Islamic radicals ally with Islamic forces against a common enemy, the Islamists win and then eliminate their former partners. They team up, they overthrow, and goodbye. I mean, think about this. We have in this country, radical feminists who defend Islam will eventually face the demands for the hijab and gender segregation. Think about that. You are championing a culture that will eliminate your importance. Ladies, you should be screaming about this in the streets. And anybody who's associated with an LGBTQ activist group and calling out people like me as Islamophobic, you're going to discover in the worst possible way what happens to gay folks under Islamic rule. It's not good. It's not good. And socialists who cheer open borders and the multiculturalism, this is also one of the most funny parts, is that they're thinking that they're doing all these wonderful things by letting everybody in. Multiculturalism will make us strong. You'll find yourself living under a system that rejects equality, rejects free speech, rejects economic freedom in favor of a religious hierarchy and in favor of submission. You will submit. Those of you who are waving your banners will become slaves to this, or you'll become Muslim. And socialism, point to a country where socialism has succeeded. Just one. Socialism itself has failed everywhere it's been tried on a large scale. Soviet Union collapsed after decades of mass murder and economic ruin. Venezuela, one of the, at one time, potentially richest places on the planet, gone. China produced the greatest famine in human history. Cuba remains a repressive, impoverished prison. Yet Western leftists keep pushing the same failed ideology. I feel as every young group ends up picking up this mantle, but this one that's happening right now seems to be more focused than any in the past. Maybe it's because social media, maybe it's because of the internets, maybe it's because they're able to trade information as readily and as easily as they have in the past. But Islam's record is clear. 14 centuries of expansion through total conquest, followed by stagnation wherever it ends up getting its dominance. And without oil money, it's all a giant failure. It's a failure. I mean, if Islam was existing in any place where there wasn't oil, everyone would be broke. And wherever they take over, you see low productivity, higher violence, systematic oppression, and women and minorities are casted aside. Yet the people that come out and champion them, it's mind-blowing to me. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up in the opening is because you got to just pay attention to what's going on in New York City. New York City is the petri dish for what they want in the country. So as a people, we have to reject anything socialist, any project that weakens the nation, and defend Western civilization with all our might, both fists. And without it, I mean, listen, we could be the last line of defense. I'm telling you, this is happening at light speed. It's happened, and I'll get into this next. What had happened with this rape culture in Britain, it's monstrous. But listen, while I have your attention, this opening break is sponsored by Zicha. And again, it's medicine. It's a biotech company. They have been developing medicines that treat Parkinson's disease and reverse type 2 diabetes to grow new blood vessels in the heart and to reverse heart disease. I was watching some video before I came on today about this. It's just a new breakthrough to potentially reverse chronic pain. More than 50 million Americans suffer from chronic pain. Their medications could lessen or eliminate this pain. Such neuropathy, back pain, migraine, headaches. Data shows that at least 10% of everyone watching right now suffer from some severe back pain alone. So to get this medicine to market, they're seeking investors to fund more medical research. Zicha is offering investors a royalty of 50% of cash received until they reach 10 times their investment. And after 48 months, for any investor who is not happy, they'll pay you back 2 times their initial investment. If you're interested in learning more about this investment opportunity, go to the website they created just for Wayne's fans, curewar.com. That's cure-war.com. That's cure-war.com. Wouldn't it be great to make money and help cure diseases at the same time? Go to cure-war.com. My name is Lee Elsey. You can email me as we go. I try to answer them as best I can. LeeElseyRadio@gmail.com. We'll take a short break. We'll come right back. More with the War Zone next.
Hi, I'm Wayne Allyn Root, CEO, conservative TV and radio host, and best-selling author. I believe in America and American exceptionalism. America is now focused on energy independence. Enter Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. It took 40 years to piece together this 40,000-acre giant gas discovery. The first 4,000 feet drilled so far are estimated to contain up to 6 trillion cubic feet of gas, making it one of the largest natural gas discoveries in the Rocky Mountain region in the last 30 years. This is how we power the AI future of America with clean natural gas. Headed by oil and gas legend Mark Bruner, whose previous public companies, Pinnacle Energy and Ultra Petroleum, delivered spectacular returns for investors. At its peak, a $10,000 investment in Ultra Petroleum turned into over $13 million. To learn more about this Lost Soldier oil and gas opportunity, go to lostsoldier.com. Fill out the contact form. That's lostsoldier.com. Hi, this is Wayne Allyn Root. If you're sick and tired of supporting woke companies, I have great news for you. You don't have to anymore. You can shop where my family shops at GreatPatriotStore.com. My team researched thousands of companies for my best-selling book, The Great Patriot Boycott Book, and one stood out above all, GreatPatriotStore.com. This is the answer to inflation. Hundreds of household products that you're already buying. Much higher quality, no toxic chemicals, delivered right to your door at incredible prices. 20,000 American families are joining every month, and you should too. And now they've got the beef, pasture raised with no hormones, antibiotics, or mRNA ever, exclusively available only to their members. Like Costco or Sam's Club, you need to become a member. Go to GreatPatriotStore.com. Fill out the form and they'll contact you right away. And boom, you're a member. For a limited time, the annual membership is $1. Go to GreatPatriotStore.com. That's GreatPatriotStore.com. Hi, I'm Wayne Allyn Root from Vertical Research Advisory, VRA, Kip Herridge's one-of-a-kind global investment and economic newsletter. Listen up. Trump is in charge. The glory days are here.
Growth rates are only going to grow from here.
This is your 4-year window to make a fortune and set up your retirement for the rest of your life. Kip wins whether the markets are up or down, whether the economy is up or down.
We set our folks up for long-term success.
For 21 years, Kip's been a friend, as well as my personal financial advisor. During that time, he's beaten the markets 86% of the time, while the average Wall Street money manager loses to the market 90% of the time. Now Kip is predicting a new golden age for the economy. Let Kip prove it to you for free. Kip's offering his daily VRA investment letter completely free for 2 weeks. Free for 2 weeks. Try it for 2 weeks. I know you'll stay for life. Join now at VRAinsider.com.
All right, welcome back. Warzone. My name is Lee Elsey, the voice of freedom, filling in for Wayne Allyn Root. And you got me today and tomorrow, then Wayne will be back next week for sure. So before we get into topic 2, Energized Health is the sponsor of this segment. You've heard Wayne Root talk about how Energized Health has changed his life. He lost 25 pounds of fat, including that dangerous inner body visceral fat. He gained 10 pounds of muscle and inner cellular hydration in only 88 days. Now, over 5 years later, he says he feels the best in his entire life. He gives all the credit to Energized Health. Energized Health is not a traditional weight loss program. You guys know this. They don't work. It's a fat loss program. The program is simple, easy, and healthy, all based on a foundation of life-changing ideas, extra and intracellular hydration. Now, with many people using Ozempic and other GLP-1s, Energized Health is working alongside to help minimize the many, 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 many side effects. I got friends, man, who got side effects on those. It's a fat loss and health. It's fat loss with a healthy way, not weight loss, but fat loss. So you want to lose the body fat. Here's your chance to be like Wayne. Energized Health can change your life and supercharge your health, just like it did for Wayne Allyn Root. Right now, Energized Health is offering the 40% off, WAR 40% off, action discount, 40% off. Just say WAR. Go to energizedhealth.com. That's energizedhealth.com. All right. So we were a little hot and heavy towards the Muslims, certainly towards the socialists. And I'm not talking about, your average everyday run-of-the-mill Muslims. I'm talking about your Muslim fanatics. I get it. We can, if we could live all together, that would be wonderful. But unfortunately, the fanatics don't want to allow that to happen. And this is the point. This is a very tough subject to talk about. And I'm not sure how much Wayne has talked about this already, but this should have been essentially national news. And it should have been running on every single network over and over and over again. And Zero Hedge put out a piece the other day. And the truth of it is all finally climbing out of the shadows. This rape gang inquiry report came out, like I said, a couple of days ago. And if you don't know anything about it, gather around the radio, turn everything else down because you're going to want to hear this. It's essentially a decades-long national disgrace. Over 250,000, think about that, 250,000 British girls, children as young as 8, were systematically groomed, drugged, beaten, passed around like meat, raped by dozens or hundreds of men, tortured with bottles and bats. And those bottles and bats, shoved inside them. They were locked in dog cages, forced actually to have sex with animals while bets were placed. To keep some of them quiet, their tongues were nailed to the wall so they wouldn't scream while gangs took turn. One girl was raped 700 times. Another told her abusers that they would rape her little sister if she resisted. Police officers who knew returned the girls to the rapists and actually said, have fun with them. A mother was calling for help and was told by a British policeman, you should be happy your daughter is experiencing a different culture, than hung up. This is all in Zero Hedge. And this happened in Rotterdam, Telford, Rochdale, Oxford, Oldham, Newcastle, over and over and over again. Are you not furious yet? The perpetrators were overwhelmingly Pakistani Muslim men operating in organized networks. And the report is clear. 90% of those bore Muslim names. And the girls, they call the girls coffer whores or the white slags, easy meat. Those are some of the things that they would call the girls. They saw them as inferior because they were not Muslim. Again, I'm asking you, are you furious yet when you hear about this, when you think about this? 9-year-old girls and their own countrymen, the people who are supposed to protect them, did nothing. Nothing. The doctrine of supremacy over non-believers, that's what Muslims think. The permission to treat captives and outsiders as property, that's what they think. There's a cultural code that treats non-Muslim girls as fair game. Whatever happens, happens. And this is what happens when you import a world view that fundamentally rejects equality and sees the daughters of the host nation as a conquest. Street by street, town by town, city by city. It's happening in Europe. And they're going to try to bring it home here. Now, the people who sat in silence, they were afraid of a cultural backlash. Imagine that. Your neighbor is getting raped, but you're afraid to say anything because you're afraid to be labeled a racist, or this experiment of the mashing of the cultures would be looked on as, oh, it's not working. Their own kids being raped, and yet they did nothing. So the real cowards were the men of England, the embarrassment of England. They were supposed to protect their own, the fathers, brothers, policemen, counselors, politicians, journalists who looked the other way for years. Again, too busy about being worried about being called a racist. And they were emasculated by a culture that had rotted from the inside, a broken, ruined English culture that taught its sons to apologize for their heritage, to prioritize foreign sensitivities over their own daughter's safety and value. And they valued diversity more than the lives of these young, working-class girls. And guess what? I don't pat myself on the back very often. I warned you all this was coming. I've been talking about this for a decade. Mass migration from cultures steeped in supremacy, ironclad demands for assimilation ignored. You knew this was going to happen. And it will come here to the grand old USA if we do not wake up. These parallel societies, no-go zones, going on right now in Europe. There's rumors that it's going on in places here. I have not really confirmed that, but that's a rumor. And there are men, those men, who believe non-Muslim girls exist for their use. And the British establishment laughed and doubled down on their multiculturalism and neutered their own people. And now you've got this report, 250,000 girls raped. Grooming gangs existed in London, and nothing was done while evidence sat in police files. Police are in on it. The political correctness, they took that over their own children. And we here in this country should be ashamed that we haven't gotten all the information on the Epstein files. This makes the Epstein files look like, sorry for the pun, but child's play. I want to play just 60 seconds of audio. Somebody who can encapsulate this better than I can. Just a podcaster, but 60 seconds, and she spelled it out. So I want you to hear this.
Oh, you thought the Epstein files were bad. Let me introduce you to the Grape Gang Inquiry Report. Over 200 pages of literature hell. Some details we already knew, but in reality, it's so much worse than we thought. In this document, you'll find that over 250,000 young white British girls were subjected to grape, gang rape, trafficking, torture, pregnancies, forced abortion, forced conversions to Islam, and all-around trauma. As young as 11. 11. These men called the victims white trash and kafar, infidels. Little girls were raped with broken glass bottles. It gets worse. Doctors, nurses, social workers, and schools didn't act. They discharged the victims back to the abusers, didn't take their claims seriously, and excluded them instead of protecting them. Some of these girls contracted STDs and IVs that are incurable and for life, as well as PTSD and trauma, which will probably be generational. Welcome to Keir Starmer's Labour Party, where we protect the rapists and jail the victims. Leaders in these gangs were inbred mongrels, like Arshid Hussein and Mohammed Zahid, both Pakistani Muslims, allegedly. Again, Labour covered this up.
There you go. Just another point of view so you don't get sick and tired of just listening to my voice. Other people, English folks, are saying exactly the same thing. And English culture did not just fail in this. It actively betrayed its youngest and most vulnerable because its leaders had lost the will to defend itself. And they should all be ashamed. All of them. Every man in any position of authority who stayed silent, every father who didn't march on town halls and demand justice, every institution that shredded records and punished the whistleblowers. You deserve a special place in hell. The England that once stood against tyrants could not even stand up for its own daughters against imported savagery. You know, I have a certain level of English DNA in my blood. I am embarrassed by all of you. Embarrassed. The culture that produced warriors and gentlemen has been hollowed out by guilt, by fear of offense, by the worship of a foreign government or a foreign entity at the expense of their own. England is broken. England is ruined. And here in America, this is the future. If we keep sleepwalking, if we keep importing the same incompatible ideology under this banner of compassion while refusing to actually point and name what's going on, it's going to come to our shores. It's already come to our shores, but not to this level. And if we let political correctness silence fathers and police and politicians, we should be ashamed of ourselves. Every culture is, we can't pretend that every culture is equally compatible at producing citizens who respect women and children as if they're equals. As I said earlier, those of you who are partaking in this, who have an alternate lifestyle, who consider yourself like on a fringe, a liberal, progressive, you're going to be wiped out. It's me and people like me. We're the ones protecting you. And you are the ones that are shunning us. We are the last line of defense for you. That's just the way it is. And this report proves it. The doctrine that turned young kids into zombies is not compatible with Western civilization. They never have been, and they never will be. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't stand up, if you don't refuse to let, if you don't stand up and refuse to let this happen, your daughters will fall victim to this, or your granddaughters will fall victim to this. Their lives depend on this. I talk about assimilation all the time. Some people look at it as a bad word. I'm not asking you to give up your culture completely, but my grandparents migrated here from Italy. They learned how to speak the English. They learned how to speak the language. They learned how to, wave a red, white, and blue flag. They wanted to wave a red, white, and blue flag outside their house because they came here for a reason, for a better life. You don't come here from a different place and want to turn it into the place that you left. That's not assimilation. So I demand deportation if you refuse assimilation. And another side to this, we need to record ethnicity and religion in crime statistics without an apology. That way we can track it and follow it and pay closer attention to it. Because if there's a spike in one crime, in one area, by one ethnicity or one group, we need to put a stop to it. And deport foreign criminals, deport their networks without hesitation. What are we doing? It's a gift to live in this country. It should be looked upon as such. We shouldn't feel bad about wanting to protect our own. We shouldn't feel as though somehow we're the bad guy. We're not. We've always been the good guy. And it's time to reject the broken multicultural experiment that destroyed Britain. Do not let that happen here. We do still have time. We still have a spine, I hope, if we choose it. But the girls in Rotterdam and everywhere else deserve a better nation than the one that their men gave them. Our girls deserve a better fate. And for me, the time of politeness is over, long over. You watch these videos, you watch how horrendous, in some cases, these men treat women or, treat their subordinates. I don't know. I feel like right now, I feel like I'm yelling into the wind and nobody's listening. Are you guys listening to me? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Are you paying attention? The time for truth and resolve is right now. Not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now. Not after the tipping point comes. Never surrender your country. Never surrender your ideals. Never surrender this amazing experiment that has been flourishing for 250 years. All right. Maybe I am talking to myself. Am I talking to myself today? Am I yelling and screaming at myself? It's very possible. I mean, we could talk about balloons and carnivals and clowns and, I don't know, Van Halen or music, whatever the heck you guys want to, whatever it is. If this isn't something that you feel is important, we'll talk about something else. I don't know. What do I got? What do I have sitting around here? Maybe I got something else. Maybe I got something else we can talk about. We can talk about, I don't know. Humans prefer to walk clockwise or counterclockwise for some reason. That could be a big thing. Anyway, all right. Did I already do the segment being sponsored by Energize? Did I do that already? I did it already? All right. Well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm yelling and screaming. My blood pressure's probably through the roof. All right. You want to hear about the humans wanting to walk in a circle counterclockwise? All right. I'll tell you about this instead. Humans, for some reason, prefer to walk in a circle counterclockwise. I mean, think about it. If you go to the track, those of you that go to the track, you ever go to the track? Anybody go to the track out there? You run around the track a couple times? What do? Counterclockwise. It feels weird going the other way. Why is that? Well, scientists did research, probably at massive expense to me, but they figured it out. For some reason, we just like to go counterclockwise. It makes us feel better. I'm sure there's some deep down cellular reasons about it, but anyway. All right, listen, I promise I won't attack the Muslims in the third break. So, those of you who have a heave job on right now can stick around for one more segment. My name is Lee Elsey. I'm filling in for Wayne Allyn Root. And you can watch what's going on at the Gateway Pundit, Wayne's Rumble, Wayne's X, Getter, Root for America, YouTube. If you're listening on any of the great radio stations across the country, you want to go watch and see what's going on, see my brand new shirt that I'm wearing, a little pink and purple. Yeah, I got that happening. You can join me there. This, again, is the War Zone. Wayne will be back again, not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow. My name is Lee Elsey. Email me, leelceyradio.com. We'll be right back. Hang on.
All right, one of my favorite guests ever, Allyn Pariser's with us, an advocate for GreatPatriotStore.com. He's been a customer for 36 years, almost 4 decades. My wife and I, Cindy, do much of our monthly shopping now at GreatPatriotStore.com. It's an alternative to wokeness. It's run by pro-American conservatives. USA Today voted it one of the best stores in America in 2025. And with all these communists taking over, Allyn Pariser, New York, Seattle, Chicago, promising cheap government groceries or free, you need to buy American. Tell us why.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of our competitors have completely lost it. They've gone totally woke over the years, but our founding axiom is really very simple. For 41 years, we've been focused on manufacturing exceptional products at reasonable prices, made by Americans, here in America, for Americans. And we've expanded. We have manufacturing plants across the United States, distribution plants across the United States. And not only can Americans get the best quality, the best price from Great Patriot Store, in most cases, we can deliver to your front door even faster than Amazon.
So prices are high everywhere. Procter & Gamble and Amazon are considering price increases. How do the prices at Great Patriot Store compare to national brands?
Well, we've got hundreds of products, Wayne, but if you just take a look at one like our laundry detergent, we make it, it's patented, and it's literally almost fractions, almost half the price of our competitors, and you get 96 loads of wash. It's the best value. There's no toxic chemicals in any of our products whatsoever. And if you're looking to lose some of those holiday pounds, you don't need the shots with the LPG-1 drugs. We have something called berberine. Nature's Ozempic is what people are calling it. It's legit, it works, and we've got it at a better price than any of our competitors.
All right, we've got just seconds to go, so be quick. I love your beef. I eat your sirloin and your New York steak all the time. It's kind of breakfast and lunch for me all the time. Why is your beef superior?
Made in America, never, ever any hormones, ever any antibiotics, no mRNA. It's all prime. It's the best quality that you can find at the best price, free shipping, and it's the best beef on the planet.
All right, to get your free gift, that's right, a free gift, purchase the beef and other great American products. You got to be a member. Go to GreatPatriotStore.com, fill out the form. One of their conservative team members will contact you right away. GreatPatriotStore.com. Happy New Year. Thank you, Allyn.
Thank you, Wayne. God bless.
All right, it's time for me to talk. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Warzone. My name is Lee Elsey, filling in for Wayne Allyn Root. Does anybody know where Wayne is? I didn't get that memo. I don't know where he went, but I'm sure it's someplace fantastic. Oh, maybe D.C. All right. He might be down the street then. I mean, he's pretty close to me. All right. Maybe he's hanging out with Donald Trump. Anyway, Freedom Fest, the world's Fair of Liberty, is coming fast. July 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th at the Caesar Forum Convention Center in Las Vegas. By the way, Caesars is really an amazing place. The most popular event every year is the mock trial. And this year, ICE will be put on trial and Wayne Allyn Root will be the ICE defense attorney. That's pretty great. Star witness for the defense will be Superman actor Dean Cain and veteran Border Patrol agent J.J. Carell. The 12 jurors will be selected from the audience. It will take place on Friday. I got to think that's a bit of a biased jury, but that's okay. The 12 jurors will be selected from the audience. It'll take place on Friday, July 10th at 5 p.m. This sounds like fun. Wayne has arranged for a one-day special pass for his fans to attend Freedom Fest that day and watch the mock trial. War fans only. They get $50 off the registration fee. Get your tickets now. Go to freedomfest.com and use the promo code WAR50 for $50 off. That's Friday, July 10th. A special one-day ticket to watch Wayne defend ICE in a mock trial. Go to freedomfest.com. That's freedomfest.com. Promo code WAR50 and get $50 off. All right. I'm going to try not to yell and scream during this one. But I know Donald Trump listens to this show. I hope he's listening. Although, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I talked about this the other day on my morning show, and the Trump loyalists were not necessarily happy with my take on this, but we went into the conflict with the Iranians not to trade missiles or to issue warnings. We went in because the Islamic Republic had become an intolerable threat, a regime that spent decades exploring terrorism, exploring nuclear weapons, and strangling its own people. I mean, that's a fact. Almost 50 years of the boot on the neck type of tactic towards their own people. So when President Trump authorized Operation Epic Fury in February, the strikes, they're devastating. The Iranian nuclear facilities, we thought they were shattered. Navy crippled, that's for sure. Key leadership targets eliminated, including the Supreme Leader himself. And for the first time in years, this regime looked genuinely vulnerable, right? And they killed the leadership, then they went back and killed the second round of leaders, right? And the window for real change, the kind of change that ends nightmares like this, ends nightmares for the Iranian people, and removes permanently an enemy of the United States, was wide open, right? I know people complained about it in the early onset of it. Oh, he doesn't have the authority to do this. I mean, these are folks who have been attacking us through their proxies for decades. I didn't have a problem with any of this, none. But then here we, get into the weeds of this, and instead of keeping this potential lane for the Iranian people to uprise open, we closed it ourselves. I was saying, why don't we just drop, and people laughed, but I'm serious about this. Why don't we just drop 1 million guns in different spots where we know that the Iranian military isn't anywhere near it, and let the people go get the guns and give them a limited amount of ammunition and let them fight. Drop 1 million guns in Iran. But instead of pressing the advantage, and instead of backing the Iranian people who, again, were already rising against their rules, there were some rumors that things were happening, percolating. I mean, we decided to sign this memorandum of understanding, and we've been fighting about this memorandum ever since the signing. The Iranians are dancing like they're winners, and Trump and his crew are not necessarily backpedaling, but they're trying to explain why some of the things are worded in the ways that they're worded. But again, instead of pressing our advantage, we actually gave the regime exactly what it needed. They got the ability to regroup. And we agreed to an immediate and permanent end to the military operations on all fronts. We committed to lifting our naval blockade within 30 days. And we're facilitating $300 billion in a reconstruction fund for Iran. I know it's not technically coming out of our pockets, but our Gulf partners are supposed to put that money up. But you know where that money's going to go. Plus, we're releasing, all their frozen assets, tens of billions of dollars in frozen assets. And we're issuing waivers so the Iranians can sell their oil again. We're paving the way for a full termination of sanctions. This is not a victory. We rescued them. It's a rescue. Now, again, I don't think anybody knows exactly all of the minutia in the details. When they finally sign the actual treaty, the deal, it may be different. And I hope it's different. But right now, what I'm watching, what I'm seeing is, to me, it looks like a loss. It's a rescue of the Iranians. A regime that has murdered its own citizens, that has armed Hezbollah and the Houthis, that closed the straits and now know they can continue to close the straits. If something, there's a bump in the road here, they'll go back and close the straits, cause economic chaos. So the regime is now essentially economically resuscitated by the very country that attacked it. And they get their money back. They get their oil revenues back. They actually get international legitimacy. They get a seat at the table for the next 60 days. And what do we get? We get a promise. Okay, same promise we've had broken for decades, that they'll stop building or producing or searching out a nuclear weapon. They promised that. How long have they been promising that? And they always continue to try to get one. And we get a temporary opening of the Straits of Hormuz. Our gas prices go down, so that's palatable. But, I mean, you got to think from a political standpoint, from a narrative, it's being done because the midterms are right around the corner. And I guess I get that. You don't want to completely get demolished in the midterms. If we were spending $5 for a gallon of gas when October came rolling around, it was going to be a slaughter. I mean, it's still going to be very difficult to hold on to the House and the Senate. It just is. But I was thinking, maybe from the onset, the whole idea was a regime change. And when we took out the leadership and then took out the second level, the second string leadership, and still the radicals kept coming, maybe they just realized that this mindset is never going to stop. This is what they are. This is who they are. And I kind of get a feeling that may be what happened, right? Netanyahu said, let's take out the leadership. They saw an opportunity and did it. And then took out the second string. And still, what do you get? You get these people who are entrenched in a way of life that, as I've said all night long, is not compatible with my way and your way. There's no regime change. We don't get massive concessions. I thought we were getting an unconditional surrender. That's not an unconditional surrender. And what's worse is the Iranian people watch their oppressors get hit hard and hit hard again. and then watch those same oppressors cut a deal that keeps them in power. Think about the person who saw just a tiny glimmer of hope in what was going on. Maybe that their life would be better than their parents' life or their grandparents' life. And now that gets washed away with one agreement. There's no light at the end of the tunnel now. There's no rising up. And the protests that could have become a revolution are now deflated. I mean, you got to think they feel that way. And as I said earlier, the regime is claiming a victory. Their state of media is celebrating. They're telling people that they forced America to the table, essentially forcing America to give in, all of these different give-ins, all of these different concessions that we're giving them. And they're not entirely wrong. They may be bloviating, maybe exaggerating, but it doesn't seem like they're that wrong. The deal doesn't dismantle the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. It doesn't remove Hezbollah and its grip on Lebanon. It doesn't end the Iranian support for terror across the region. It simply pauses it all. Lets them lick their wounds and put tremendous amount of resources in their pocket, which of course they're going to use to fund more terror actions and rebuild their missile programs. We had them on the ropes. We chose to let them get back up and get back on their feet. I mean, maybe they say we avoided a longer war. We wanted to stabilize the oil again. But there's a certain level of appeasement here. There's appeasement dressed up as realism. And America First is not supposed to mean you pay the enemy to stop fighting while they keep their ideology and they keep their proxies intact. That's not what America First is. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what do you want to do? You want to put boots on the ground? I think if we were going to make this move, if we were going to commit to this, somewhere along the line there should have been some part of that doctrine that we had made up prior to all this starting, that if the blank hit the fan and the wheels came off and they put their mines and their small attack crafts in the straits, we would have taken the island and we would have taken the coastline, all means necessary. But maybe they just didn't want to do that. I mean, I'm not in the rooms. I can't see what they see. And I understand there's a political angle to this. I get that. But you're there. You've already dropped the bombs. And if it were a military action that was supposed to be done, in record time, or if you thought it was going to be over in weeks instead of months, okay, then that's just a mistake on your part. If you didn't know how long it was going to take, you should have probably done this 6 months ago. I mean, we had the military momentum. We used up the element of surprise with the overwhelming force, and I know we destroyed their Navy, and I know we destroyed most of their military, and I get that, and that actually is a good thing. But we lacked what it took to finish what we started. So instead of a negotiated ceasefire, I mean, we turned a battlefield advantage into an economic lifeline for Tehran. We traded the chance for a genuine regime change for a 60-day period where we're going to talk to them and try to figure stuff out. I know, listen, politically, everybody seems to be happier about this. There's a bunch of polls out there that surprisingly are in favor of this memorandum. I mean, when you blow the doors off of your enemy, when you light up the night sky and destroy not everything, but you completely wipe out their Navy and you almost completely destroy their air defense systems. I know they have missiles buried underground, and some people say 70% of their missiles are still intact. I get all that. But you shouldn't leave this conflict in a worse position than you were when you started it. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But again, we're not privy to all the information. We don't know all the things that Donald Trump knows. I'm just looking at it from a, this perspective of a talk radio show host who gets up every day and talks about this stuff and only wants the best for America and only wants what's in the realm of America first, where we think about what's best for our people, and then in doing so, we can try to create more democracy around the world and try to help people fight for their own freedoms. But in this case, I just think we had an opportunity to change a regime in Iran and chose instead to change the terms of our surrender. And I think we lose, like in a big way, for the next decade and years to come. I mean, think about where are we going to be 10 years from now if the Iranians have the $300 billion plus whatever we unfreeze in assets, plus the idea that in 60 days they can actually start tolling these places again, these ships coming through. I mean, am I the only one that thinks this? I know that the majority of Wayne's listeners are, all in for Trump no matter what he does. And I know Trump does Wayne does sometimes critique Donald for some of the things that he does. I find it here on my morning show in Connecticut that, there is a wavering, if you will, of the hardcore Trumpers in this particular area. Like they still believe that everything that he's done is for the betterment of the country. And, he always has the American people's hearts and minds and will at basically in the forefront, in their he wants the best for all of us. I do believe that, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes we either didn't completely figure out a way out of this, or we made this giant assumption that by decapitating the leadership, it was going to end this thing in a rapid hurry, and that obviously didn't happen. So anyway, we'll follow that closely as everybody is doing, and every night on the national news, something different ends up coming out of that. So anyway, as always, my name is Lee LC, and I always appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'm the official fill-in host for Wayne Allyn Root, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Wednesday. We'll be back at it. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday, so we'll be back at it tomorrow. I'll have a guest or two tomorrow, and then next week we'll do the same thing a couple of days. And right around the corner is 200. We're 250 years old. Are you excited about this? I feel like I was around in 1976, right? A little kid. I was around. And I remember all the stores, red, white, and blue. Man, it was fantastic. I feel like, I know 200 is very different than 250, right? There's a bigger, spotlight shined on 200 years, just like there'll be a giant spotlight shined on 300 years. But 250 years is pretty cool. And I just don't feel like, you walk into some of these stores and it's not red, white, and blue. It's not America everywhere. We need to rekindle that and get that back. Anyway, my name is Lee LC, LeeLCradio@gmail.com. That's LeeElci radio@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you wherever you are across this great country. Thanks to the boys behind the scenes making it all go. Couldn't do it without them. We'll be back tomorrow. You guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Always watch and listen Warzone on the Gateway Pundit, Wayne's Rumble, Wayne's X, Root for America, Getter, all of that great stuff in YouTube. Until tomorrow, we'll see you. Have a great night.
The Roots on Fire. Welcome back. This is Warzone Live. We're the official podcast of the Gateway Pundit. And do we have a great guest for you today, because still, in the end, illegal immigration and boys and girls schools and transgender this and transgender that, the open border. There's a million issues in the world. But to me, the number one issue is making money. I'm like Trump, man. Making money's in my DNA. Making money's in my blood. I'm always looking for ways to make more money. In the end, that makes an awful lot of problems go away for the nation and for the middle class and for the people of this country. Making money is got to be our number one goal. Economy, jobs, GDP. That's what really matters. So I got a great guest for you to talk about it. Lost Soldier Oil and Gas has been the sponsor of this show for almost a year now. Do you realize? It's been about a year that they've been the sponsor of my podcast, my national radio show, my national TV show on Real America's Voice TV network. And it's really an amazing property. It took 40 years to piece together this 40,000-acre giant gas discovery, estimated to contain up to 6 trillion cubic feet of gas, making it one of the largest natural gas discoveries in the Rocky Mountain region, in the last 30 years. And they have a management forecast projecting just the first 25 wells to produce 400 million cubic feet per day of natural gas, and by 2035, targeted production of over 1 billion cubic feet a day. An amazing project. And I invested in this project not once but twice last year. I intend to invest a third time this year. And I want to introduce you to the project, and I want to introduce you to the guy who is the CEO and the chairman of the board who invented this project, Mark Bruner, CEO of Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. The website, by the way, lostsoldier.com. Mark, welcome to the show. I haven't had you on in quite a while. You've been running around the world raising money. You've been in Europe. You've been in Switzerland. You've been in Saudi Arabia. You're all over the world. You're an amazing guy. You're always traveling. You're always raising money. You're always running your company. You are a busy man like me. That's hard to nail you down, so it's great to have you back on the show.
So wonderful to be with you again, Wayne. Good to see you.
All right. So you're a second-generation oil and gas man. You're actually a second-generation oil and gas legend. Your previous public companies, Penteco Energy, produced about 100 to 1 for every dollar invested. Investors and stockholders made $100, and Ultra Petroleum, spectacular return for investors. That one was 1,000 to 1 for every dollar invested. People got back 1,000. It was one of the biggest stocks of the entire decade of I think it was the 90s, right? It was the go-go 90s. Right. And that stock was one of the highest flyers on Wall Street. So Lost Soldier is an amazing, amazing project, but tell people why it's so amazing, why I guess you think it's even biggest of your career, that would make it bigger than Penteco or Ultra Petroleum. Ultra Petroleum, 1,000 to 1 return on investment, and you say this is the biggest of your career. What do you base that on?
Well, when I compare it with Ultra Petroleum, it has a sequence of regionally pervasive sands where we can see, based on the seismic interpretation, we can drill up to 500 horizontal wells so far that we can see. And the other wonderful thing is that no one could drill this for 50 years. We've known where all the basins are for 50 years. All of them have been drilled, as far as I know, except this one, because there's a uranium mine out here that was, whenever 3 Mile Island melted down in the early 80s, they started reclamating this mine. Kennecott did 3 years ago. They finished the reclamation. I got a call. I drilled it. And as they say, the rest is history. Certainly the largest gas field I've ever found. Right now, if you compare it with some of the other basins, there's thousands of feet of layer cake type, regionally pervasive, overpressured sands. It's very much like the Haynesville and the Utica. If any of you have heard of those plays, you've probably heard of a guy named Jerry Jones that owned the Dallas Cowboys. That's like his number one play now, okay, the Western Haynesville. And I would encourage everyone to compare what we have with the Western Haynesville, because I think it certainly is comparable. The difference here is we're the only operator. No one else is in here. It's just us. We made the discovery. We have legacy infrastructure that is on its last throws. We can tie into all that legacy infrastructure. We're laying a 5-mile line to start producing gas this year. And, the plan is, when we finish this private placement, to be producing about 500 million cubic feet a day, 300 million a year in cash flow within 36 months. And then we plan to build a 42 to 46 line 50 miles away to the Trading Hub One Center, about 10 times that. There's another guy named Warren Buffett that's looping on that line that going out to California. So, as you all know, he's no fool. So he's going to send all his gas out to Pacific Corp and the West Coast. So we hope to be able to do that too. Anyway, that's pretty much a summary, Wayne.
So give me some new updates, because remember, I'm one of your investors. I invested not once but twice last year. Very big, healthy investments, by the way, from Wayne Root. And I plan to invest again this year. What's happened between the last time we spoke on TV, which was probably 6 months ago, although you've had your president of your company and your COO talking to me on TV as well, but you were busy traveling. Give us some updates from last year. What exciting things have happened, and tell me what will happen this year in the year 2026.
Well, I think, one of the things that we've done is that you're always looking for permits to drill. You're always looking for right-of-ways and other things in order to be able to lay the pipelines. All this is completed, okay? It's finished, okay? And so we're going to start building this pipeline sometime in July, when what we call the winter stips are off and we can get in here and lay that pipeline. We think it'll take, 45 to 60 days to finish the pipeline. Then we'll be producing gas, okay? So that's going to happen this year. We're very excited about that. The other thing that I think is important is that we have a deal with the federal government. All the leases that we have, they're federal and state leases, they've been put into what we call a federal unit, which means that it's all those different leases. We had like 56 of them. They're one lease now. It means that we can orderly develop this gas field with the cooperation of the federal government. They've stamped the deposit commercial. So all those things have happened. And yeah, we think we're going to be able to do that. We're hoping to be able to drill some of the deep overpressured horizontals this year, at least one, maybe two of those. We're anticipating 50 million a day plus wells. They're going to be expensive. They're $20 to $30 million a piece. But when you're producing those kind of rates, they pay out very quickly. And so, possibly within a year. So something, the field next to us, Lost Soldier Field, which I named my company after, that field's been producing for over 100 years, produced 450 million barrels, still does 3,500 barrels a day. And so some of the deeper stuff that we're looking for and we think we'll find some of those this year as well. So very exciting times for us. And by the way, we also drill when we're not drilling for ourselves for Enbridge, which transports about 30% of the natural gas in the United States. And actually, we're entering into a 23 oil contract with them. I think that would speak very highly of our drilling people and their abilities. And, we're very excited about that relationship with them as well. So we're going to be having revenue out of our drilling company, out of our pipeline company, out of our working interest. And those people that invest will also enjoy a package of overriding royalty as well. So, yeah.
And don't forget, the thing that got me was, I have seen a lot of potential in my life. I think this is the most potential I've ever seen. But potential is one thing. That doesn't mean you ever deliver. You have a track record that's amazing. That's great. Penteco, Ultra Petroleum, very impressive. That was a decision pusher for me. And then, of course, what else can you invest in? Like if I put $100,000 into stocks and those stocks happen to go down, I would get no tax break. It would do nothing for me until the day they went back up. You get a $3,000 deduction on stock losses in a given year. But with oil and gas, it's the most generous tax deduction you can ever get. It's 70% write-off the first year you invest. So if I put $100,000 in, I get a $70,000 tax deduction on my tax return in the first year, and the other 30 over the next, I think, 3 years. Right?
Well,
so that's pretty impressive.
There's been a change. It's 100% now, not 70%.
Really?
Under the Trump tax bills. Okay.
But that's for this year coming up, 2026.
Yes.
I invested in 2025, so I have to go by the old rules, I assume. Yeah.
I think the other thing too is that the viewers need to realize that we don't have to process any of this. This is 93% methane, CH4. So no processing. We don't have to build any plants. When we put it into the pipeline, it can go directly into homes. We have people contacting us about putting in data centers. There's a lot of options here that we're going to be looking at, Wayne. So we'll keep you updated as things happen this year.
All right, data centers would seem to be the way to go. That's all anyone talks about now is data centers and how much they use so much, energy. Well, you've got the energy for them, so it would seem like would be a profit center. Last thing, for accredited investors who want to learn more and get involved, They go to lostsoldier.com, and then what happens? Someone gets back to them?
Yeah, we'll get back to them. We give them the information so they can access. They can access all the information. We'll answer their questions, and we look at all our investors as a family. It's the Lost Soldier families, like what we just need to say, right?
Well, with my big investment, I better be a good family member. I better be loved. Better be loved, Mark.
Well, we'll let you move in. We'll let you move in.
Second home in Wyoming. LostSoldier.com. LostSoldier.com. Go there. Give them your contact information. They'll get right back to you and show you how you can be involved. It's the right project, right time, the right president, the right energy secretary, the right CEO. Mark Bruner with an incredible, spectacular past record. Thank you, Mark. LostSoldier.com.